TBM Legion, guys and girls, welcome to another TBM broadcast live. Today we're talking about exactly what it says down there, 16 days of cold water swims. Not always a massive amount of swimming going on, but we'll talk about that in a second. Guys, quick reminder, if you guys are watching this on the YouTube channel, okay, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down here somewhere. Give it a like, do all that good stuff. Make sure you share it with anybody that you think. All of our upcoming broadcasts, there's one every week, at least one new video out there every week on the channel. So hit the subscribe button, make sure you get notified of those. If you've already been following me and you guys are interested in taking the leap to peak fitness, focus, mental and physical resilience, then feel free to book in a free call with me. If the link's not in the description on this one, you'll find it in almost all of my other posts. Okay, so have a look through there. You can book a free 30-minute chat with me. We'll talk about your goals and see if we're the right fit for each other. Only a limited number of spaces available on the program right now, guys, so don't mess around. If you're keen for that, then jump on in there. Okay, so without further ado then, what's going on in today's broadcast? We're talking about cold water immersion, the benefits on stress, fitness, sleep, loads of other stuff. Okay, those who've been following me know that I'm 3 challenges into my 12 labours project. I'm looking to do 12 labours within 12 months, 12 different challenges. I'm raising money for the British Red Cross, absolutely phenomenal charity. Huge network of charities all over the world doing an amazing job right now, as we all know, during this difficult time. So if you've got any questions, any comments about the 12 Labours Project or the show today, just bang them into the comment section. I'll try and get around to them, as many as I can, okay, as long as I can see them coming through, and answer any questions you guys have got. All right, so 12 Labours Projects. I'm challenge number 3 into my 12 Labours Project. Started with a 100-kilometre ultra marathon. Second month, I went for a half marathon personal best. Okay, nailed both of those, and now it's challenge 3, 21 days of cold water immersion. All right, me going to one of the local bodies of water here, whether it's a lake, whether it's a river, whatever it might be, jumping on in. Okay, and I'm at the moment, I've built myself up. Initially to 5 minutes at a time, and now I'm doing a 3 to 5 minute immersion every day. Okay, so the minimum now is 3 minutes, and the maximum is about 5. I find that when I get to 5, I feel like I've got all the kind of benefits of it, to be honest, for me personally, and then it just takes me ages to get warm again if I go over 5 minutes. So I'm keeping it between 3 and 5 minutes, minimum 3 minutes every day, and I'm up to 16 days so far. So this morning was day 16. All right, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, 21 days of cold water immersion. The reason that I'm doing it is to help raise money for the British Red Cross, but also, you know, every challenge that I'm going to pick during the 12 Labours Project is a challenge that I'm interested to do, that I'm interested to see if I'm capable of doing, or to see what the benefits might be, because it is something that is popular in the mainstream at the moment, but that I haven't tested for myself, or you know, whatever. And this is a prime example of that. Cold water immersion. We've got guys like Wim Hof, who have done an amazing job of publicising cold water therapy, bringing it into the mainstream. Still kind of on the fringes, I think, for most people. I see and hear about it all the time. I don't know, you know, I don't know what the perspective is of the general public, like how mainstream it actually is, or if I'm just seeing it because it's what I'm interested in. But it certainly seems to have gained a lot of popularity over the last few years. So I wanted to give it a go myself. Okay, I thought 21 days was a good solid period of time to see the results over time, you know, because that's the only thing we're really ever interested in. It's not doing it once and seeing what happens, but seeing those results over time. So 21 days I thought was a pretty good stint. And yeah, I'm 16 days in. So I want to talk about the personal benefits for me. I want to talk about the purported benefits, you know, what cold water therapy is supposed to be doing that's beneficial for us in terms of not just fitness, but stress management, which I personally believe is the gateway to performance across the board anyway. And other factors such as sleep, mood, energy, all this kind of stuff, right? And then talk about my personal results, like how many of those I feel it's ticking off for me. I've looked into a little bit of the science behind it to just refresh my memory. I'm still struggle, to be honest, even though this has gained so much popularity recently, I still struggle to find a decent amount of good quality scientific research on this that uses a large number of participants, that ticks all the boxes that make a good, solid scientific study, and that isn't too specific. I've seen a lot of papers around that are looking at things like the benefits of cold water therapy following a 7-kilometer cycle ride or something like that, and for most of us, it's not that specific. Most of us aren't athletes. Most of us are busy people with loads of stuff going on, mostly work, family commitments, social commitments. Almost every single one of us wants to perform better at work, and I would say even more of us want to look and feel our best all the time. There's not many people that say, I don't want to look my best, I don't want to feel fit or good, right? So that's basically all of us. And so those are the benefits that I think I'm more interested in, you guys are more interested in, so that's what I want to talk about. And to be honest, I haven't found a great deal of scientific research to back up those factors. I am still looking, trying to fit that into the rest of my day as well. And it'll be interesting to see what else I managed to uncover as this whole thing unfolds. All right, so let's put a little bit of backstory here. Why was I interested in doing this one? Okay, how did cold water therapy sort of come on my radar in the first instance? So I guess my first experience of very cold water, like colder even than what I'm jumping in at the moment, would be probably in the Marines. I started training in January, and one of the first things you do is the most ridiculous exercise ever. You don't even leave the training camp for it. You just go down to this big tank of water they keep in an area that we call the bottom field, which is basically where you do all of your fitness training pretty much after about the first sort of 8 or 9 weeks that you're in. And it's underneath the ropes that we use to practice the sort of commando drills that you do on the ropes, what we call regains and stuff like that. And it's just a big tank of water, just like an outdoor swimming pool, essentially. And it's pretty horrible. It's not particularly clean. And it's always freezing, it seems like, even in the summer. But in January, our task as part of our first exercise was to get in the tank, get completely wet, and then run down to another part of the field, get out of all of our wet kit, get into our dry kit, and then practice what is called wet and dry routine, which is about as sexy and enjoyable as it sounds. It's pretty horrific. But on this occasion, because I started training in January, it was the very first thing that we did. We actually had to break through the ice on the top of the tank so that we could climb in, which was a bit like digging your own grave, just sort of one step away from that. So that was pretty awesome. I remember getting into that freezing cold noggin and thinking, oh my freaking God, who the hell would want to do this ever again? And being pretty desperate to get back out of that gear and get warm and dry again. So that was probably my first experience of it. And then funnily enough, later on in training, we were always made to get in this tank no matter what happens. Every time we'd have fitness, every time we'd be on camp and someone would do something more wrong, which was basically every hour, we'd be made to run down to this tank and get in it. And I remember at the end of the final commando test, which is the 30-miler, I think it was the end of that one, we got ran down to the tank by the PTI and made to get in it again. But it wasn't a punishment, it was just for recovery. And then I kind of twigged at that point that maybe there was some logic in the kind of punishment throughout the course of training, that actually on some level they were trying to help us recover by getting into this cold water all of the time. So that was like one first instance where, I mean, that was my very first experience of getting into really cold water. And then that was my first kind of thought train on maybe this is actually good for us physically, right? So then it kind of disappeared off my radar. I was getting cold and wet throughout the course of my short career in the Royal Marines, as every good Royal Marine is being made to do. Then when I left the Corps, I pretty quickly went out to the Middle East to start personal training for a wealthy family out there. Now, the Middle East is not much in the way of cold water. The sea's pretty warm. My shower water was definitely very warm. And although Wim Hof had come on my radar by then and I was starting to do some of his breathing techniques and things like that, there was no opportunity to do any cold water there. So again, it stayed off my radar right up until I'd finished with that job a couple of years later and ended up in Switzerland for a winter season. And the shower on cold there was as ice cold as the water flowing down the river outside. So it came back on my radar then. I was still practicing the breathing techniques and things that Wim Hof talks about, as well as a whole bunch of other ones. I kept hearing about cold water, the benefits of it, the reasons that people should be doing it, the impacts on metabolism for weight loss. And it was something that I wanted to start talking about a bit more with my clients, but that I wanted to, try for myself. So I started taking cold showers when I was out there. And the reason that I stuck with that, the key reasons that I liked it then, still stand now. And they were, it's very energizing. Obviously it's a cold shock when you first get in that cold shower. Okay. But it does have this amazing invigorating effect. And I think everyone who's ever tried it will testify to that. Okay, it's incredibly rejuvenating and energizing experience, which I guess is one of the reasons why you still get the old folks in the winter going down to their local lake or local seaside and getting in the water and going for a morning swim. Even these guys, ladies and gents that are in their sort of like 80s plus still practice stuff like that. And that is probably the primary reason why people who aren't aware or haven't looked into the science behind it actually enjoy participating in that. Okay, it's very energizing, it's very invigorating. It's also a daily discipline. And guys who've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that I'm always big on incorporating daily disciplines into our lives. I think one of the reasons that there's been such a big decline in the state of public health over the last 10 years, or not just 10 years, I don't know why I said 10, but over the last few decades. And the reason why people are suffering from so many stress-related illnesses, anxiety-related illnesses, mental disorders, big factor for me is the state of comfort that we live in the Western developed world. Or not even just the Western developed world, but the entire developed world. It's very, very easy to live a life void of discomfort. And I feel very privileged to have been part of an organization like the Royal Marines, where you're made to be uncomfortable all the time, you're made to push yourself to your limits all the time, and to witness and experience firsthand the benefits of that, and to have carried that with me. And that is something that stayed with me. That's something that I incorporate into my coaching practice. I build on that with clients all the time. Life's too easy for you to get the stimulation that you need and to experience that eustress that you're required to in order to develop fully as a person, in order to grow successfully and achieve complete fulfillment. We need that eustress. Okay, eustress is literally the opposite of distress. We always talk about stress as if it's terrible, but there's two kinds. There's distress, which is bad, and there's eustress, which is good and that provokes a positive adaptation. Okay, so it's a daily discipline that for me provides that eustress. I feel an awesome sense of pride. It might sound a bit daft, but to get into a cold shower or a cold lake or river or whatever, completely voluntarily, of my own volition, without being made to, it gives me this massive sense of pride when I go out. Like, most people wouldn't do that. I know they won't, because when I talk about it with people, they tell me I'm crazy and they would never do it, right? but I'm prepared to do it. If there's any benefit at all, even if it's just that sense of pride and that sense of self-confidence that I'm prepared to jump in a freezing cold body of water or a freezing cold shower, you know, what else can I do? You know, I'm a capable person. I've got a tolerance for stress. I've got tolerance for shit. I can deal with it. Okay, so I like that side of it. It's that daily discipline. And also that stress tolerance. It literally is quite an intense stress. This is kind of the third reason really why it's always been something that I've really enjoyed when I've included it in my life without even really being aware of the science. Just dealing with that stress. Anyone who's jumped into cold water or, you know, accidentally turned the shower down to cold or deliberately or whatever, you know, whatever the situation is, will know that instant reaction is a stress response. You struggle to catch your breath, you know, you tense, you know, it's basically a sense of panic. You know, it's that cold shock response that your body is having to deal with. And I did uncover some pretty interesting science. It was talking about how following several cold water immersions, that stress response does start to become more efficient. You start to become much more efficient at dealing with that stress. The impact on triggering your sympathetic nervous state, okay, which is your state of stress, okay, your stressed state of your autonomic nervous system, gets triggered less, and your ability to transition back from that parasympathetic stress state from your sympathetic stress state to your parasympathetic resting nervous state becomes more efficient. So you're able to go from a state of stress back to a state of rest much more quickly, much more effectively. Okay, so that for me is a huge benefit because we're dealing with daily stresses all the time. And as I've talked about before, for me, stress management essentially is the gateway to improve performance across the board, whether it's fitness, work, communication, your mindset, whatever it is. Stress management is really step number one, which is why I ended up dealing mostly with mindset coaching, evolving into that from the more of a fitness-based space. Right, so not to go too deep down that rabbit warren. Okay, those are the main reasons why I've liked it in the past. It came back on my radar again, sort of after I finished the winter season in the Alps. I went from Switzerland to the French Alps. I was there for a little bit and then ended up coming back to Germany. Now I'm in Berlin. I've been based in Berlin for a while. Sort of fell off my radar again for a few months before I started training for Ironman. Decided to do my first Ironman, and that's when it came back on my radar again because I was going to do the Copenhagen Ironman. And I was terrified of the swim because I've always been a fairly weak swimmer, to be honest with you. And I was really worried about whether I would be able to do the swim anyway, but also how cold the water was going to be because the last thing I wanted to do was get into the water for a swim that I was a little bit unsure of anyway, and then suffer immediately from cold shock. So then I started to do cold showers every day, mainly for building up their resistance to the cold shock, and just sitting in the cold shower for as long as I could after like a really hard week of training to try and get the muscular recovery benefits that often get talked about. Okay, and that's probably the primary reason that people talk about this within the fitness space, because lots of sports teams and athletics teams of every kind have been using cold water immersion, cold water therapy of some kind over the years for the purported benefits of bringing down inflammation, analgesic properties, okay, alleviating pain, helping to improve muscle soreness, and those are basically the main ones. So there's actually surprisingly little science that I can find that backs up the benefits for muscular recovery. It's a bit of a weird one. It's been basically anecdotal for as long as it's been around. The same with just like ice treatment, applying ice treatment to the surface of skin. This was something I looked in when I was tasked with buying a cryotherapy chamber for somebody who's got way too much money, and having to sort of do the research on that. Then I found the same thing. It was bit difficult to find some really good, solid scientific research that backed up the use of ice treatment and cold therapy then for those specific things. So that gives you an idea of the background of how cold therapy first came on my radar, how I've used it up until now. And as you can see from all that, I've never actually taken the idea of it and put it into the context that I'm doing it in now, which is actually getting outdoors, getting fully immersed in cold water. I've never done cold water baths. You know, I've got a mate, in fact, guys who watch this show will know Simon Jeffries, the co-founder of The Natural Edge. He's massive on cold water immersion as well. And he's been getting into a bin full of ice cold water in his garden every single morning. If you watch his Instagram stories, you'll see him doing that. So, you know, I've never partaken in any of that. It was actually watching somebody do something similar that got me thinking, maybe there's something in this cold water immersion. I've been including the cold water showers for a while. And anyway, I needed to come up with a challenge number 3 for the 12 Labours project. I was thinking about what I could do now that would specifically be hard at this time of year. And it seemed obvious that I needed to go and jump in a river or a lake every single day for 3 to 5 minutes. So that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I've been doing. So let's talk about what I found. Okay. And this is going to be very anecdotal. Like I said, I have looked for some science and some papers to sort of talk about and reference here as well. But in all honesty, I haven't found a great deal of interesting things yet. I'm just going to keep researching it. I wanted to get my own experience of it first, basically. I didn't want to have too many preconceptions of what I should expect. I wanted to see how I felt about it. And now I'm sort of 16 days in. Now I'm kind of digging through the research to see what, you know, conclusively shows some scientific backing for it. Okay, so my experience up until now has been this. First and foremost, mood. Oh my God, unbelievable. My mood when I get out of the cold water, get dry, get warm, and get myself really warm to get myself home is just amazing. It's an instant stress reliever, instant. Even if you're not feeling particularly negatively stressed when you get in, you still notice the difference when I get out. All right. My mood's amazing. Even on mornings where I've been particularly stressed before I've gone. There was one morning particularly, I just had a really bad start to the day. I had a phone call about something that was just not what I wanted to hear first thing in the morning, completely screwed my frame of mind. And I was just thinking, yeah, thank goodness I'm about to run down and go for my run down to the river and just get in, because that's probably the best thing I could be doing right now. And sure enough, I did that. Went for my run, got into the cold river. It was still about 9 degrees at this point, 9.5 degrees. It's much colder now. And I was instantly refreshed, instant stress reliever. Afterwards, my mindset totally had flipped. I was thinking about everything much more pragmatically, like rationalizing the whole situation. What action steps am I going to take to rectify this? And I felt totally cool about it. And by the time I got home, I was still feeling good. And the effect of that, for me personally, is really long lasting. It'll take me all the way through to the rest of the day. All right, in terms of mood, it really lifts my mood, really boosts my mood. And it's probably the most surprising thing. I expected, in all honesty, to feel a sense of relief and a bit of a mood uplift upon initially exiting the water and getting warm again. Just because obviously it's nicer to be warm than it is to be freezing cold. But I really didn't expect it to be so profound and so long lasting. So that's been an amazing benefit for me. Energy, right? This ties in with mood, but it goes beyond mood, okay? Especially in the winter, as I'm very, very tuned in to my circadian rhythm. Very, very tuned into the sunlight. I'm a person that is up super early in the summer, and I'm never a person that tends to be awake before midnight. I love to sleep. I don't ever really have an inclination to try and push through being tired. When I'm tired, I just want to go to bed. I'm not like a party animal. If anything, I'd prefer a day party to a night party. Maybe that's why I'm in Berlin. But yeah, I'm very tuned in with the sun. And in the winter, there's a lot less sunlight. Once the sun goes down, that melatonin cycle starts, and I am usually pretty sleepy by about 7 p.m. I'm not joking. There's multiple nights where by 2100, my eyes are melting down my face and I'm struggling to keep them open. And since I've been jumping in the cold water every day, my energy's just spiked. It's been amazing. I get to the evening, it's it's not particularly now, but I'm so happy to keep working through the evening now. And it's brilliant. It's buying me an extra couple of hours a day of being productive, which is amazing. So energy, fantastic. I mean, those two things alone, mood and energy, for those two to have a profound increase is instantly boosting my overall quality of life without anything else. And all I'm doing, it's so easy. It's like it's almost passive. Like the amount of effort that I have to do to get those benefits is like relatively little. I mean, it's more because I'm actually running to the river. But I could drive to the nearest lake. I could play my favorite music or my favorite podcast or whatever while I'm on the way there. I go to my favorite place to do it. I can jump in for a few minutes and then I can drive home again. And I feel amazing for the rest of the day. I mean, what a morning routine. And I made an Instagram video about it the other day. I put it on my story. I got down there. The last couple of days, the weather's not been great, but I think 3 days prior to this one, the morning was perfect. The weather was amazing. It was just pure sunshine. It was pure bliss. And I ran down to my usual spot. I jumped in the water, I got out, I got warm, and I just sat there for a minute thinking, this morning routine just doesn't get better than this. It was amazing. The sun was shining, the water was freezing cold. So anyway, those are the two first ones that I talked about. Massive stress reliever, massive mood booster, and massive energizer, like long-lasting effects on both of those for me personally. So the third one, I've only just started to notice recently, which has been my own fitness. So quite often, again, guys that follow me will know that I'm generally a bit of a runner. Obviously I'm a fitness professional. I'm usually in pretty good shape. I just recently did my longest ever run, which was the 100-kilometer ultra marathon. So I'm in fairly good shape at the moment, right? And when I started the challenge, most days my girlfriend was running down to the river with me. Now she's also a good runner. She's a pretty good nick, but she's not as fast as me. So I tend to, that's quite an easy run for me to just jog with her, which is really nice for me. Okay, it's quite a slow pace. And I haven't been doing a great deal of other training outside of this. It's been quite a busy time for me the last few weeks, and I've been doing other stuff. So I wasn't really noticing how my fitness was changing until the last couple of days. I ran down there by myself, and I'm feeling absolutely amazing in my runs. But I haven't really been training very hard. And again, this is very anecdotal. I don't have a lot of data to go off here. I'm actually just scrolling through my watch now. So I set a PB on my half marathon a few weeks ago. What was that, about 6 weeks ago or something? Maybe less. All right, so yesterday, let's have a look. So so the last few days I've gone on my own, and basically I'm doing just over 4 miles in about 37 minutes. And bear in mind that that's half of that is running there, and then the other half is running back when I'm freezing cold, right? So I'm having to warm up on the way back in that run. By the time I get home, I'm basically like running full pace. So it's very anecdotal. I'm sorry for that. There's not much I can do, but it's basically my personal account. So do with it what you will. But fitness-wise, without really doing a great deal of fitness, I feel amazing. Like when I'm running now, when I'm running by myself and I can go at my own pace, I'm going at a really solid pace, and I just feel awesome. So this is going to be an interesting one to actually test. I want to get a bit more sort of data to back up that one as I go. And what I might do is actually test my 5K time at the end of this, just see where I'm at. I've got a pretty recent 5K you know, before I started the challenge. So I can use that as the benchmark and then just see what the difference is. Bear in mind, I've not been training for 5K at all. I've just been doing a short run there and back in the morning. I've done a couple of 10Ks, I think, and then it's just the body weight stuff that I do at home. So I feel fantastic. I haven't been doing a great deal of fitness. I haven't been, you know, paying particularly special attention to my diet recently either. You know, sometimes my diet's just completely, you know, clean, completely clean. It's almost never really bad. You couldn't really say it's bad. I don't eat processed foods and stuff like that because I don't really like them. It tastes like shit. But at the moment, you know, my diet's not been amazing. I haven't really been paying a lot of attention to my macros. My protein's probably lower than it usually would be. And when it's I've been a bit lazy because I've been busy, so I'm just relying on sort of like frozen veggies and things and really quick meals. No particular attention to micronutrient intake. But cold water dipping every day, and I feel absolutely fantastic. A little bit of a run, get in the cold water. I'll tell you, it's amazing. So there we go. There's not much more to say on it at this stage, just that I'm 16 days in, and that's how I'm feeling so far. And quite honestly, the only issue at the moment, the only factor that will stop me from carrying this on after day 21 is practicality. Yeah, the place that I swim is not the nicest place to swim, the nearest place to be. It's not the nicest run to get there. I'm really only doing it because of the challenge and because it's the easiest way. I can't say that I really look forward to the run. What I will say is I do really look forward to actually getting in, not necessarily when I first open my eyes in the morning and it's still cold and it's warm in the bed. But once I'm out of the door and I'm running and I'm on the way, I actually get really excited inside about getting there and getting in the water because I know what's coming next. You know, I know how good it feels next. But this is the only factor really that would stop me. It's about like an hour of time in the morning and it's not even like proper training. So I then need to find some other time during the day to try and get some you know, more specific training in. But I would absolutely, definitely include it in a week, every week, at least once or twice. Just a reminder, guys, post your comments and questions if you've got any before I look at signing off. And if I can think of a way of making it practical, or if I can I may just decide to stick with the routine that I've got and just keep it in there, then I will. You know, I will look at ways of keeping it as regular as I can because it's just so far so good. It's been amazing, and I'm so happy that I picked this as my third challenge. So there we go, guys. That's basically an account of how it's gone. 16 days. Oh, third one actually, I totally forgot. Sorry, fourth benefit, sleep. We'll just quickly run through this one. It's not going to take very long. My sleep's been amazing. I almost always get up at least once every single night. Every single night, I wake up at least once, get up, go to the toilet, come back at least once. All right. And for the first time since I can remember, I have slept completely through the night several times without waking up at all. For me, it's anecdotal. It's only me, okay? But for me, the results are absolutely speaking for themselves on this challenge, okay? The sleep's been incredible. My mood's been incredible. My energy's been incredible. My motivation to be productive and do work, apart from in the very cold mornings when I first wake up, has been amazing. And yeah, apart from the nausea of actually having to do it and to spend the time doing it every day, the whole thing's just been actually been quite enjoyable, quite fun. So guys, if you didn't get your chance to watch this live and ask a question or make a comment during the video, then feel free to comment later when you're watching it, or if you're watching the replay. Okay, I will go back and check the comments and stuff. So if there's any questions, please feel free to ask me. If you don't want to put all the comments, fire me a private message. I'm always happy. And another reminder that there are limited spaces available right now on my one-to-one coaching program, looking at improving fitness, focus, mental and physical resilience, habits that forge resilience, That's the name of the game for me. Okay, improving productivity, energy, mood, and all of that good stuff. Okay, there's some spaces available, so give me a call. Book in a call with me. There should be a link in the description of this video to go straight to my Calendly. Book in a free chat. It's only 30 minutes long. Can't guarantee a place. Okay, it's by application only. I only work with a small handful of people. There are spaces available now for anyone who's motivated for significant positive change in those areas. All right, get into the best shape of your life, reduce and manage stress better, be the most productive, high-performing version of you possible. Sounds fun? Well, it is. Okay, guys. So without further ado, have an amazing rest of the day. Feel free to ask me any follow-up questions you want, and I'll catch you guys soon. And get in the cold ogging, because it's really good for you.